Coming up Thursday night, NFL Network, Dolphins hosting the Bengals, 8 Eastern. Coverage starts at 6 p.m. Eastern. NFL Total Access kickoff pregame show. See Marshall Faulk on that. And also on Sunday, NFL Game Day morning starting at 9 a.m. Eastern. The Hall of Famer back on the show. Marshall, how are you, buddy?
I'm good, man. How you doing?
I'm doing okay. A couple of topics of conversation here. Let me start with Brandon Meriweather, where he was fined, suspended a game, and now says, I guess I'm just going to target guys' ACLs. What do you think?
I don't know why. Why would he even say that? And the league has kind of that they want players to kind of come down and not target the head. And we saw what happened to Randall Cobb. It looked bad, man. That was awful. That hit on him that put him out. But I can't say that he's right by saying that. There's other ways of getting guys down. I've heard various defenders speak on you don't have to target the head. You don't have to hit a guy in the knee. Dan, I never made a tackle. That's not true. I've made tackles in the NFL, but I've never had to hit a receiver coming across the middle. So I don't know how difficult it is to pull up, but whatever he has to do to stay on the field, he needs to do and not even speak about it.
Yeah, that's what I don't understand. You can be a tough guy, but you don't have to tell me you're being a tough guy. And I do. I sympathize with defensive players because we have taken away every advantage they had, and all we do is give it to the offense. They're not sure exactly what they're allowed to do, what is a legitimate hit, what is not. Now, we do know if you go up top and you hit somebody in the helmet, we do know that. But I do feel for a defender because, we don't – why is cut blocking still allowed in the NFL by linemen?
Yeah.
I mean, there's just certain things where if I'm a defensive player, I go, wait a minute, can we get a cookie here? Can you help us out with something?
And the rule, well, what's it called, the crown of the helmet rule?
Yeah. I mean, running backs lead with their helmets.
That's what they gave him. Take that, because that happens a lot. It gets called all the time.
Yeah, I mean, running backs lead with their helmets all the time.
Listen, there's so many things about the sport that you could change, but I will say this: at least we do make changes, and the changes that are being made, then you have to understand this. What we want is say people like you, whom if your kids want to play football, for you to feel like it's a game that you want your kids to play, because when you watch the game. You're not going to tell me that you're like, oh, yeah, I want my son out there playing that game.
I don't.
Exactly. So we want the game to appeal to parents and not have their kids scared to play the game because, I mean, all sports are they're dangerous. I mean, race car driving is dangerous, but obviously you don't have to go to college to you don't have to get a degree. You don't have to stay 3 years to go race car driving, but you'll let your kid do that. It's fine. It's like I said, we want our game to continue to look appealing to parents and allow their kids to play.
Yeah, well, it's not that I'm afraid of my son getting hurt. He's just not any good at football. That's the only reason why I don't want him to play.
Well, that's hereditary.
Yeah,
let's not blame him.
No, it skips a generation. Athleticism does. Dez Bryant's conversations on the sidelines. Just from outside looking in, are we making too much of this?
I like the passion, and I think we are making too much of it because we don't know the words that were coming out of his mouth. We don't know if they were constructive. We don't know if they were motivating. We don't know if he was pissed off. We don't know. Let's be honest. But the one person in that whole group that you cannot do that to if you're a receiver, and a smart receiver, is your quarterback. You don't mess with the quarterback. You don't mess with your kicker. You don't mess with your quarterback. Those two guys mentally, usually, they don't handle guys that are playing with them, yelling at them like that. I didn't like the exchange with he and Romo. I didn't like it, and I understand Michael Irvin. I listened to Michael say, well, he said that he could do everything that Calvin Johnson can do, and Calvin Johnson was having a career day, and Dez hadn't been targeted yet in the first half. So maybe I'd be upset, or next time I'd keep my mouth shut.
Well, but Marshall, everybody knows on the Cowboys, including Romo, that Dez Bryant is a difference maker. He's going to make plays. They're not purposely staying away from their best player. Dez has to understand that. They're double team. I'm going to take Dez Bryant out of the game. If I'm Detroit, I'm going to be smart, unlike Dallas's defense, where you don't double cover Calvin Johnson. I want Dez Bryant out of the game some way, somehow, and I think that's probably what happened. So Romo, he's frustrated because he wants to put up this show and try to challenge Calvin Johnson. He didn't get the opportunity, and I thought the frustrations boiled over there.
I agree with you. I agree that that's what happened, but you have to understand the two different dynamics of these teams. I mean, Dallas is trying to get other people involved, whereas Matthew Stafford, it's all about Calvin Johnson.
Yeah,
they lost Brian. They lost Broyles. No Nate Burleson. This ball is going to Calvin Johnson unless you just blatantly let somebody run up the sideline. Then we'll throw him the ball. But this ball is going to Calvin Johnson, and we've seen it whether he's double covered or triple covered. He'll make those plays. Dez has to understand that. Now, receivers are pretty crafty. You do stuff like you say what you say in the media to hopefully have your offensive coordinator and your quarterback come on your side and maybe throw you the football going into this game. That's what I think Dez did. And it backfired on him to where they kind of went away from him.
Yeah. He's Marshall Faulk, NFL Network analyst, joining us at Dan Patrick Show. How many teams can win the Super Bowl?
Oh, not that many.
5?
Maybe 5. If we start rattling them off, the Saints are legit. The Packers, their offensive line is still in question, are legit. The Patriots, I think they fell out of legitimacy losing Vollmer. I don't know how they're going to replace. Their offensive line wasn't protecting Tom as is. And now they lose Sebastian Vollmer. That's a big one.
Broncos.
The Broncos. And
Chiefs?
I want to say Chiefs. And I'm going to tell you this, and there's going to come a time, and more than just one game, that Alex Smith is going to have to make plays throwing the football. I don't know if he'll take the chances and trust the guys catching the ball or knocking it down, because they are for real. They are. Their special teams and their defense is bar none unbelievable, and how good that they are. Now, another team that I want to throw in there, and I have to see them play without Reggie Wayne, is the Colts. I have to see what they do and how they play. And I'm kind of scared to say the Bengals, although you put up 40-something points on a Rex Ryan team, and that's a lot of points.
But Marshall, they got so many weapons. Their defense. They got wide receivers, couple running backs. Their history factors in, and it comes down to Andy Dalton in the postseason winning a game on the road. That's
and you know what else? I'm gonna tell you what I've seen from Andy Dalton. I was always skeptical about picking the Bengals because whenever they played a team that could score, I felt like Andy Dalton would not push the ball down the field. Well, when they played Detroit 2 weeks ago, I couldn't believe how many times they threw the ball down the field. It blew my mind. And if Andy Dalton can push the ball down the field and let A.J. Green use his height and his athleticism, they're scary.
Before I let you go, the difference in Peyton Manning now to when you were with the Colts is what?
Just a smarter guy. I'm gonna say a smarter guy, and I'm gonna say that this is the best group of receivers that he's ever had around him, ever.
But as far as just his football intelligence picked up when he first came in with the Colts, your thought was what about Peyton Manning?
My thoughts were, wow, this he's a leader. Had a great presence in the huddle early. Very intelligent. The the one thing about Peyton that sometimes gets him in trouble is his need to control the game. And sometimes you just have to go out and play. Other than that, when he's out there, I mean, he's on. Now, obviously, you know you're going to lose some of your tangible things as you get older. But I believe the more that he continues to play with this group, the more that they have those close games and they win those close games, the better this team is going to be. I mean, they just can't keep having blowouts. You know, they need close games. You need to be in close games. You need to be in that awkward, uncomfortable area so you can know when you get in those games, because you're going to have those games in the playoffs. And they're going to be uncomfortable, and somebody has to make a play, and they're making those plays right now.
Yeah, and it's a great point you bring up, because I always go back to UNLV when you had Larry Johnson and Stacey Ogman and Greg Anthony and Anderson Hunt. They were blowing out everybody. They were winning by 30 points, and then everybody kept saying, what if they get into a close game? They got into a close game with Duke, and they didn't know what to do with the game on the line with the last shot, and it cost them a chance at back-to-back titles.
Yeah, those possessions, they become important. You know, that hoop or basically the field get a little smaller when you have to convert a first down compared to you're up by 14.
Great to visit with you. Safe travels with Miami, and we'll be watching on Thursday night.
All right, Dan. Tell the guys I said hello.
All right, Marshall Faulk, NFL Network. They got Bengals, Dolphins on Halloween night.
The Dan Patrick Show, weekday mornings on Audience.